The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us here tonight. We are so excited. In the next 30 minutes, we are going to be sharing some amazing transformational stories of health professionals, physicians, people that have gone to advanced education to learn how to help others to get healthier and to, obviously save lives. And tonight we're going to get a chance to hear their story, how they were able to create optimal health and well-being in their life by joining this amazing organization called OPTAVIA as a client and or as an OPTAVIA coach. My story is not a health professional. I was not that smart going through high school, and I didn't necessarily have a passion around health. I had a passion around playing sports. And my journey was I started with the program and I lost 100 pounds 10 years ago. And I became an OPTAVIA coach, not because I was an expert in health, but because I wanted to learn more about health. And when I got a chance to meet some of the health professionals that you're going to meet in just a few minutes, I was inspired because I was doing something that health professionals, physicians were doing. They were doing the same thing I was doing as an OPTAVIA coach. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about how the OPTAVIA Business Coach opportunity works, and we're going to get a chance to hear some amazing testimonials from 4 physicians. And first off, I want to get a chance to introduce you to a great friend and peer of mine, Dr. Dee Garcia. Dr. Dee Garcia is an oncologist, and she's in St. Louis, Missouri, and she had her own oncology clinic. And I can't wait for you to hear her story, because when she shares her story, I believe you'll be inspired to explore further what OPTAVIA has to offer. Dr. Dee Garcia, welcome to the webinar.
Oh, thank you, David. Can you hear me okay?
You bet.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am so excited to kick this off with my own personal story, and then I'm going to introduce you to 3 amazing health professionals who are in my organization of health coaches. So you're in for a real treat. But to start with my own story, I'm an oncologist. My specialty is breast cancer. So I practiced medicine for 28 years, and I loved every minute of it. As I look back on my career in medicine, I can't imagine having done anything differently. I would do it all over again. I met such beautiful women and their families, and I just am filled with such gratitude for the beautiful career that I had. But one of the things that I really struggled with for a number of years is I started to see younger and younger women in my practice. So the women that I saw initially with breast cancer were in their 50s and older, and then I started to see women in their 40s and 30s and 20s. And it was so upsetting because these women would come in with their young children, and I knew that the stakes were so high. And what I came to realize is that there's a huge connection between our body weight and breast cancer. So women who struggle with weight have a much higher incidence of breast cancer, and that's because of the estrogen from their own body fat. Estrogen is the precursor for breast cancer. And so I started to counsel women on diet and lifestyle so that they could really improve their overall health and well-being and not just rely on surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. However, I didn't have a tool to help women get their weight off safely and quickly until I was introduced to our wonderful program. And once I had that tool, I was so excited to help people improve their health. And the wonderful thing is when you work with someone, it ripples out to their family and their friends and their coworkers. So you have such an opportunity to help even more people. But what I found is as I was working with my patients and their families, I was becoming transformed myself. And what I mean by that is, as David mentioned, I own my own oncology practice. I own my own breast center with 4 other women physicians. So we had 2 breast surgeons, 2 medical oncologists who gave chemotherapy, and I did the radiation. And we had a wonderful, thriving practice. But 10 years after we opened, one of the major hospital systems knocked on our door and wanted to buy our practice. I voted against it. My partners voted for. And overnight, it went from this holistic practice to a corporate practice. So I really went through some deep soul searching 11 years ago, and or actually 8 years ago. I've been a health coach for 12 years, but 8 years ago, 2 years after our practice was sold, I really struggled with, should I stay when it was a different practice than what it had been when we opened it, or should I do something different? And I decided to jump off the cliff. I reinvented myself as a full-time health coach. And so that was the transformation for my life. I now have this incredibly balanced life. I work from home. These are some of my favorite pictures because it kind of shows this time capsule of who I am now. I work from home. I have these 2 wonderful pets who follow me around all day long. Before I barely saw them. Last year, my mother passed away, and in the last year of her life, I was able to care for her because I worked from home, and she stayed with me for months on end. I now have more time to spend with my young adult children. The 2 boys that you see there that look like my mother's bodyguards are actually my boys. And then my beautiful daughter is there too. But I love the fact that with traveling, I can do my business from anywhere in the world with a laptop and a cell phone. And so I have this joyous, balanced life now that I never thought possible. I didn't even know how unbalanced my life was until I started to do health coaching full time. So I want to show you what that's all about. First of all, before I decided to become a health coach, I really investigated the company. My reputation was on the line. I certainly was not about to get involved in a business model that wasn't completely reputable. And so I love the credibility of our business model. Our parent company is Medifast. It's located in Baltimore. Forbes magazine has recognized our company as one of the most trusted companies in the United States. I love that the products that we use to help our patients achieve health are medically formulated. There's science behind it. And at the helm is Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson. Dr. Anderson was a critical care physician who left his practice after almost 20 years to find a solution to the obesity crisis, because he realized as a critical care physician that most of the problems we see in medicine are as a result of obesity and being overweight. So I love the background of our company and that credibility. So what we do as health coaches is we help people transform. So we talk in terms of lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time, because health is not just the number on the scale. There are a lot of pieces involved that I will cover as I go along. So if we look at the statistics overall, we know that we're an unhealthy country. And we know that countries around the world are becoming increasingly unhealthy as well. And a lot of it stems from the epidemic of being overweight and obese. So obesity means someone has a body mass index of 30 or greater. And we have such an opportunity to help people create a healthier life. So with the program that we use to help our patients create that health and well-being, we have 4 components. The first component is the health coach. The second component is our habits of health system, and I'm going to elaborate on each of these. We also have a wonderful community of support, and then we have our structured meal plan, which revolves around the fuelings that the company makes available to us. So those are the 4 components of our program, and I'd like to go through each of them one by one. So in my opinion, the coaching is the most important, because we as health coaches develop a wonderful relationship with each of our patients or with each of our clients. And coaching is all positive. It's never about judging or criticizing or beating anybody up. That doesn't help people create health and well-being. Coaching is about loving and supporting and guiding that patient and that client along the way. It's so positive. We walk alongside them. We help them to become personally responsible and also to adopt healthy habits as their weight is coming off and they're learning how to eat better. So I love the coaching part, and that's what gets me up every morning excited about what I do. The second component of our program is what we call our habits of health system, and that revolves around this wonderful book and workbook written by Dr. Anderson. So in this book, all aspects of health are covered, because as I mentioned earlier, health is not just the number on the scale. Health is sleep and hydration and movement and stress reduction and lowering inflammation in the body. It's so many things wrapped into one, along with learning how to fuel your body on a regular basis and make healthy choices and eat healthy portion sizes. So that comes from this wonderful book and workbook. And next, I'd like to introduce a dear friend of mine, Dr. Brenda Izen. Brenda lives in St. Louis, as I do. Brenda is a family medicine physician. I've known her for decades. And Brenda, welcome to the webinar. You might have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dee. I spent many years as a practicing family medicine doctor, and there was nothing like seeing patients. I really enjoyed it, but over time, things began to change. And I became familiar with this program in 2008. And at that time, I had just bought a new scale that would weigh up to 500 pounds, because I had so many patients coming into my office at that time who weighed over 300 pounds. And the traditional gold standard scale that had been used successfully in physicians' offices for years was no longer adequate for my practice. every time someone would weigh on that scale who weighed over 300 pounds, it would have to be recalibrated. So our scale spent a lot of time being down and not working. And we weighed every patient who came in, so that just didn't work for us. So I had always been interested in wellness, and I knew that obesity really predisposed people to develop chronic diseases. And I also saw the effects that it had on my patients' quality of life. So I had always been very motivated over the years to try to help my patients achieve a healthy weight. And I tried many different ways to do that. And some of them would be successful for short periods of time, but nothing ever withstood the test of time. So going into buying my new scale, I was pretty frustrated and still searching, unwilling to give up. And around that time, I had a conversation with my good friend and colleague, Dr. Garcia. You just heard her speak. And she told me about this program and how she had been practicing it in her office with her patients, and that she was having amazing results. Her patients were really doing well. So needless to say, I was very excited and I couldn't wait to get started. And so she was very accommodating, and I think I probably signed up to be a health coach the next day after we had our conversation. And I found the program to be really easy to implement in the office. And I found that coaching worked seamlessly along with my medical practice. So it was easy for me to do in the course of business. I began to see wonderful things with my patients developing after they started the program. Not only were they losing weight, but they were starting to change some of the blood work parameters for chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and hyperlipidemia. And I was also seeing that many of my hypertensive patients who had started the program were coming in with much better blood pressure readings. And what was interesting to me was that at that point, none of these patients had really reached a healthy weight, but I was already seeing these great changes in their health. And it really reinforced to me how replacing unhealthy habits with healthy ones can have a profound effect on a patient's health. At that same time that all of this was going on and my patients were getting healthier, I was really having a rough time myself. As a small business owner, I had a huge overhead. It was $30,000 a month, and trying to pay that overhead every month was really onerous. And I had to really work long hours. And I remember many times, the only time my husband saw me in the evening was when he closed my computer and covered me up with a blanket. So I would come home from a long day at work and then spend the evening working on paperwork and until I would fall asleep. So needless to say, I was sleep deprived. I was exhausted. I was chronically dehydrated because if you drink water in the morning, then you have to go to the bathroom during the day, and that's time away from the patients, and you don't have that time. So I was really drowning, and my health was starting to show it. So what happened next was that in 2012, I realized that I wasn't drowning and I wasn't keeping my head above water anymore. I was actually drowning. And I took a critical look at my practice, and I realized that my health coaching business was keeping the office doors open because I wasn't making enough profit off of seeing patients to be able to pay the overhead and have anything left to take home for myself. And so I asked myself what I enjoyed the most out of what I was doing, and I realized that it was the health coaching. So then it became a very easy decision of what to do next. In April of 2013, I closed my medical practice and I took my health coaching business home. And immediately I began to sleep, eat healthy, exercise routinely for the first time in years, and actually spend time with my family. And before, when I was working, they would go on vacations and I would never have an opportunity to go because I had to stay home and cover the practice. So I was very sad about that. And so I began repairing my relationships with family members that had suffered over the time that I was working so hard. And then my health started to improve. And so it was all sort of happened in the nick of time because, as you can see from this picture, my daughter started her family. And the little boy that you see is my grandson. He's 3 years old now. And I was lucky enough to be able to go out and stay with her and be there when she went into labor and be there when he was born and stay for a month afterwards to help out with him and to bond with him. And I had never had that opportunity with my other two grandkids, and I really missed that. Then she's got a boy and a girl there, you can see, who look to be the same age. Well, they are, they're twins. And I was also out there when she was waiting to have the twins, and I was able to help her and keep her down when she needed to stay down. And I was there when they were born and there to enjoy bonding with them afterwards. And I've been a regular visitor out there since then. Every 4 to 6 weeks, if not more often, I'm on my way out there to see them. And I'm just so happy to be really living the trilogy of optimal health. My health is much better, my finances are fine, and my mind is so much better. And I'm just grateful that I have this profession that allows me to lead a balanced life and still help others. And so I really appreciate you listening to my story tonight. Thank you.
Oh, Brenda, that was a beautiful story. And I don't think that people who are non-health professionals realize just how difficult it is to be a physician, especially in primary care, family medicine like you did for, so many years. So we're going to move on to the third component of our program, and that is the OPTAVIA community. The community is so important for our clients and our patients. We have weekly support calls from a doctor and a nurse. Those are 30 minutes on Wednesday evenings, and they're followed by a Habits of Health webinar for 30 minutes covering some topic. Tonight the topic was on exercise. We also have a small army of registered dietitians at the home office that are always more than happy to lend advice and support to our patients and clients. And then many of us have a very active Facebook support groups to support our clients. And then the last component of our program is our structured eating plan. And that revolves around our medically formulated fuelings, their protein carbohydrate balance, their low glycemic, their nutrient dense. So after our patients and clients have been on the program for just a few days, they start tapping into their fat reserves. We call that fat burn. They feel more energetic. Many times they're not hungry, and the scale starts to move. So the fuelings just make it so easy for busy people. Most of our clients are on what we call the 5-in-1 program. So they're eating 5 of our fuelings a day. Every 2.5 to 3 hours, they're eating one of the fuelings. And then once a day, they eat their own healthy meal of lean protein and vegetables or a salad. So from day one, they're learning what healthy eating is. It's a meal they can fix at home for themselves and their family, or they can go to a restaurant and order a lean and green meal. So it's a fairly easy program, and the results are are so wonderful. So next, I'd like to introduce you to another dear friend that I've known for years, Dr. Kathy Botney. Kathy is an OBGYN who also lives and practices here in St. Louis. Kathy, welcome to the webinar.
Sure, thank you, Dee. So I am Kathy Botney, and I've had the privilege to work as a practicing OBGYN for 35 years in St. Louis. And I've delivered over 6,000 babies and brought them into this world. But I love my job, but the hours can be really brutal. So the lack of sleep and stress over time led me to unhealthy habits. And what I began to do was use food as a stress reliever. So when I would be on my way out at 2 in the morning to do a delivery, I'd grab a Snickers bar for the way out. And then when I'd come back in at 5 in the morning, I'd reward myself with a Tootsie Roll for getting home safely. And those bad habits and more bad habits, coupling that with menopause, you can imagine the result. So I was really tired of being tired, and I dreaded getting dressed every day, trying to hide my 30 pounds. And as I was getting bigger, so were my patients, and they were getting additional meds piled on for their various and sundry conditions. When they complained about their weight or the new meds that they didn't like, all I could say was, I feel your pain. And I knew that, and I wished I had a magic bullet to give them. And I'd give the traditional advice of, eat less, exercise more, but I knew that they were probably already doing their best because nobody wants to be overweight. And in 2009, through some mutual patients that I shared with Dr. Izen, I was introduced to the OPTAVIA program. So I personally went on the program. I lost 32 pounds in 3 months, results not typical. But what I loved is that weekly interaction with my coach, because I realized I didn't have all the answers. And I needed to change my habits if I was going to be healthy for the long haul. So once I lost my weight, I realized I had this incredible gift in my hand. So I started offering it to my patients. And not only did they lose their weight, but they got their lives back, just like I did. And so kids got their real moms back, and women were having more joy in their life, and some were even able to do things that they thought they'd never been able to do. I had one of my patients call me one day, and she said, Dr. Botney, I walked through Walmart today. I said, well, that's great. I'm happy for you. No, Dr. Botney, you don't get it. I walked through Walmart today. I've always had to take the cart for the last 15 years, the electronic cart. And if there's only 1 or 2, you have to wait until someone else gets out of it. So my heart just sang, hearing that she could do something that I took so for granted. And I had another patient who needed to lose about 150 pounds to get healthy. But when she was down about 100 pounds, she told me on one of our weekly calls that she had had her husband go up and get their tennis rackets out of the rafters of their attic. And she thought that she would never be able to play tennis again. She said she had such a blast. So it's those non-scale victories for me that just make me tick. I no longer feel resigned to be the chubby, tired version of myself. I sleep better. I've got more mental clarity, so I'm more efficient in my office, and I've got more energy at the end of the day to give back to my family. So being an OPTAVIA coach has just added an extra layer of happiness to my life. And over the years in my practice, I've done different coaching models. I've had one of my nurses or one of the other employees do the coaching for me, and it works just fine. But what I discovered about me was that I love doing the coaching myself, and that I could do all of it in one afternoon a week. I really didn't intend when I got into this business to coach other coaches, but my colleagues started noticing as we were getting their clients or their patients healthier than they'd been able to do with traditional medicine. So some of them asked to join the mission. And I wondered, would I be able to do it all? Could I run my busy practice? Could I coach my patients? Could I coach coaches? And the answer is yes. Our company has a phenomenal support. And all I have to do is be a guide and walk alongside people as they go through their journey. And I love watching people as they become empowered to decide how that next chapter of their life is going to play out. Speaking of next chapters, I know I'm also creating a plan B. I love my patients and I'm not ready to retire just yet. But what I know is that I have something that's going to continue to create health for many, many people once I retire. And then I also get a great income stream. And I know that I can do the health coaching from anywhere in the world because my husband and I love to travel. So I'm really grateful to OPTAVIA for adding this extra dimension to my life and my practice. And I'm doing my part to get the world a little healthier. So as you may have been invited to this webinar, maybe some of your patients have been impacted. Think about my lady in the Walmart store getting to walk, and think about that lady playing tennis. When's the last time you got that kind of satisfaction from something that you did in your practice? For me, it wasn't very often. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Dee, for having me.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. That also such a beautiful story. I get so excited when I hear other health professionals that have embraced this program and business in their own lives. And you have made such a difference with the people that you've helped. So Brenda was the first to mention how she loves, now that she's living the trilogy of optimal health: a healthy mind, healthy body, healthy finances, and all of these things we offer to the people that want to join us. Again, my heart just goes out to the health professionals that are working so hard and so diligently through all the changes that we see in medicine, and feel that they don't have a plan B. And we've been able to create that, the three of us that have spoken so far. So next, I'd like to introduce another dear friend, and that is Carrie Magill. Carrie has a background in pediatrics. So Carrie, welcome.
There we go. I am so excited to get to talk to you all tonight and share my story. So I am a pediatrician. I also have a background in integrative and holistic medicine and women's healthcare. And I was lucky enough to get to take time off from medicine and stay home with my 4 wonderful children, who you get to see here in this photo. And I even homeschooled them all to college age. But as they were starting to launch, I was exploring different ways to re-enter the medical field. And I realized what I really wanted to do in medicine was get people healthy. That was what totally lit me up. That is my jam. And I have to admit, with all my friends and colleagues for medical school, I was kind of thinking I was happy to avoid having staff and overhead, electronic medical records, insurance company, medical overseers. I was like, I could use skipping that. So I was exploring different options. The other thing that I really wanted was to be able to travel. I wanted to do my job from anywhere in the world, visiting my adult children who are in Colorado and Arizona, and go on vacations with my husband, who gets invited to travel a lot for his job. And I had a dream of always wanting to work from outside. So actually, health coaching met all my prerequisites. So I was super excited, and I joined the OPTAVIA team of coaches without really a weight loss goal in mind. I truly was looking at it as a career option. But as I read the Habits of Health book by Dr. Anderson, I realized that I really wasn't in optimal health. I had spent my entire adult life kind of yo-yo dieting. I did yo-yo diet. I would let my weight creep up until it kind of hit into that overweight category on your BMI chart. And then I would just starve myself until I got back down to a lower weight. And so I just kept doing that. So I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and go on the entire plan with OPTAVIA. And I went ahead and lost 15 pounds. But more importantly, I finally learned the habits of how to keep it off and keep my weight stable. And during this time, I convinced a dear friend to go ahead and try this with me as kind of an experiment. I'm like, come on, let's do this. And she went on to lose 50 pounds, 50, and literally changed her life. So at this point, I realized this program works. I was totally in. I loved what I was seeing. I went to the national convention and actually met Dr. Anderson and realized this was great. Dr. Anderson and OPTAVIA had already figured out all the nuts and bolts of health coaching and how to get people healthy. So I was all in. And my business has exploded, and I love helping people be in the driver's seat of getting healthy. And the other part I really love, as I also have been a yoga teacher for the last 4 years, and I love that we're not just a diet. We are so much more than that. We believe in a healthy body and a healthy mind. So I was super excited to be able to teach clients how to change habits, not just with food, but all in different parts of their life, like we talked about tonight with exercise. And we teach something called stop, challenge, and choose. So we teach people to recognize, stop behavior, and then challenge it, get curious, get fascinated, like why? Why am I doing this? Why am I walking to the cabinet? Am I hungry? Is this a habit? And then to be able to change that behavior and create new behaviors and new habits. So this is one of my favorite parts that I get to teach every day now. So with all that being said, I want to say again that obesity right now is the biggest health crisis in America. And the frontier and the future of medicine is really in facing this crisis. And I am super excited to be part of the change of getting the world healthy. And I'm also really excited that I got to share my story tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, Carrie, thank you so much. And you have been such a great addition to our team of health coaches. Carrie is a lot of fun, and we are delighted to have her have joined us. So the benefits of becoming a health coach for a lot of people, it's to reinforce your decision to be healthy, to hold ourselves accountable, because we're now helping other people create better health. It is fun, it's rewarding. The company pays us to help people be successful. So how cool is that? How does our model work, our business model? Well, you're a health coach when you're working with patients and clients to help improve their health. The minute someone joins you as a health coach, now you're helping that person get started, and that person learn to support and to coach their clients. So we're now a business coach. And then over time, you have an opportunity to create an organization of health coaches, such as I have. And now you're a business leader. So it's a very holistic progression from one to the other. So how does it work for coaches? The most important thing is this is a relational model. It's reaching out to people who are struggling, really looking for the people that are looking for us. We're independent, we're all independent, but we work together. We're self-employed. You can work part-time or full-time. Dr. Botney's still practicing medicine. Brenda and Carrie and I are not. Startup costs are extremely low. It's $199 to become a health coach. You have no additional operating costs or overhead. If you're already in a practice, again, no additional overhead to get started. But those of us doing it full-time, most of us are working from home. So how cool is that? And we all mentioned how exciting it is to be able to work from anywhere. And we offer complete training and support with the help of our amazing supportive company. So it is a mentorship model. It's like an apprentice. You know, you're an apprentice working with your sponsor and with other mentors in the organization. You work at your own pace. We do have events, local events, regional, national events. Those are optional, especially when you first start out. But this is such an exciting business that the events are something that we love attending and learning from. So reach out to the person who invited you to this webinar, and we are looking to expand our network of health coaches because we have a lot of work to do. So our mission is to help the world create health and well-being, and we're doing it one healthy habit at a time, helping people with that lifelong transformation. So thank you everyone for participating, for joining in, and good night.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.